Up at 6.
Thank you, Greg. On Eyewitness News at 6 tonight.
Anytime we lose one of our community members, it's very important to us. That's the reason why you see the response that you did yesterday.
A double homicide is not setting well for some homicide investigators. We'll find out what they set up to help catch those responsible.
Plus, we'll talk with a Chattanooga attorney who says he sees holes in a 33-page federal lawsuit filed by 3 former Ottawa High School employees. And
the less pitfalls you step into, the more effective and more efficiently you can implement change.
Hamilton County's superintendent appointee, Dr. Brian Johnson, was at County Commission this morning as next year's budget was approved. We'll let you know what he hopes to do with the money to bring change. Eyewitness News at 6 starts now.
With coverage you can count on, this is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 6.
Chattanooga homicide investigators are using a new tip line to help find out who's responsible for the deaths of 2 men. Good evening, I'm Lori Mitchell in for Cindy Sexton tonight.
And I'm David Carroll. The 2 men were found dead in a Chattanooga cemetery yesterday. Police believe both men were shot, but it will take a medical examination to determine how they died for sure. Channel 3's Natalie Potts tells us how investigators hope a new tip line will crack this case. Natalie is live from the cemetery.
Well, David, the cemetery reopened after being closed for 10 hours while nearly 60 emergency workers and officers were on scene yesterday. Now, police say they are still continuing their search for information today. They believe that somebody out there knows something that can solve this crime.
If you know anything, it may be a color of a car, it may be something that you saw in passing, it may be that you know who did it.
No piece of information is too small. Investigators are asking anyone with information about the men found dead in Highland Memorial Gardens to call a newly formed homicide tip hotline. Calls go directly to the detectives working the case and remain anonymous.
At this time, we have learned that both victims are related to gangs, but that may or may not be the motive in this crime.
Police have identified one of the victims as 20-year-old Thomas Holder. Channel 3 has reported on Holder in the past when he pled guilty to providing an illegal firearm to a group of teens. That gun was the one that injured a 13-year-old who was shot in the face by a family member while they were posing for a picture together. The second victim, a 17-year-old, has been identified by family members as Rayshawn Underwood. Police say it's not clear why the 2 men were killed, if they were shot at the cemetery, or how long their bodies were there before being found.
Anytime we lose one of our community members, it's very important to us. That's the reason why you see the response that you did yesterday.
More than 60 people responded to the scene Tuesday, including a group of cadets to help look at every part of the cemetery for answers. Former City Councilman Manny Rico returned to the scene with Channel 3 today to show us where he made the discovery.
It was kind of scary because, like I said, it's over here where you're away from everybody.
Rico can't understand why the 2 were left here.
I would think if somebody that's just mean and did something, they got in an argument and was going to kill somebody, they would have hid the body somewhere. Everybody does, you know. This had to be a statement.
Now, police have already received some tips on that hotline. To reach a detective, all you have to do is call the number on your screen. That's 423-643-5100. And of course, it'll be a few days before that medical examiner determines how an official cause of death for the 2 men. When we get more information, you can count on Channel 3 to share that with you. But for now, reporting live in Chattanooga, Natalie Potts, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Natalie. Police say a man was shot in the chest and is in critical condition at this hour. The shooting happened on Stanfield Street in Chattanooga, and officials say the man was shot 1 time. The details are limited because the victim has been unable to speak. The suspect is still on the loose. If you have any information on the shooting, contact the Chattanooga Police Department.
An update now on the Ray County couple accused of using a harness to restrain a young boy. The boy's mother, Monica Hall, and her boyfriend, Dennis Couch, were arrested and charged with aggravated child abuse last week. Yesterday, Couch appeared in court and the judge decided to keep his bond at $125,000. Hall is currently out of jail on bond. Investigators tell Channel 3 the couple kept Hall's 5-year-old son with special needs harnessed to the floor. They believe the abuse had been going on for months. The couple is expected to be back in court in August.
The driver of the Puckett ambulance involved in last week's deadly wreck has been booked into jail and is already bonded out. The Rome, Georgia Police Department says 21-year-old Kristen Keys faces second-degree vehicular homicide charges. She also faces failure to maintain a single lane. She's accused of falling asleep while driving an ambulance which crashed and then killed 55-year-old Tony Patterson. Her attorney says she's still grieving from the accident.
She's grieving very much for the Patterson family and her co-worker who was injured as well. She feels terrible about that. And they have reached out through third parties to indicate their concern for her, and I think that's very gracious of them.
Kristen Keys has bonded out of the Floyd County, Georgia jail on a $2,600 bond.
An autopsy reveals a 20-month-old from Whitfield County died from meningitis in January. The Department of Family and Children's Services says the child was found dead in his crib, covered in urine, feces, and vomit. Gibson's mother, Tiffany Gibson, has been charged with 2 counts of felony child neglect. Investigators say the living conditions at Gibson's home were filthy and neglectful.
We have new details in a federal lawsuit filed yesterday by 3 former Ottawa High School employees.
Channel 3 has learned a judge ordered the defendants in that case to respond to the allegations against them. The complaint centers on how officials handled the investigation into the rape of a basketball student in 2015. Channel 3's Cameron Taylor joins us live in the studio with what he has uncovered. Cameron.
Lori, we got a copy of those orders filed today in the case. In them, a judge asked for Hamilton County Schools, DCS, Hamilton County DA Neal Pinkston, and former Superintendent Rick Smith to respond. He also lays out the rules for how the case will go.
Government tort actions are always hard. There are always uphill battles for plaintiffs.
A federal judge issued 6 summons today, ordering a response from District Attorney Neal Pinkston, former Superintendent Rick Smith, and attorneys for the school system and county. Judge Leon Jordan says the group must meet before any motions to dismiss the case are filed. He also issued an order saying it's unlikely that the court will allow the sealing of documents in the case that attorney Robin Flores sees holes in.
Government tort actions are always hard. There are always uphill battles for plaintiffs.
Flores, who is not connected to the case, says it's a tough one to prove. The 3 former Ottawa High employees claim negligence, wrongful termination, and defamation, among other accusations.
When you look at it, you got a statute of limitations issue coming up with some of the claims. You've got immunities that are there.
The complaint says Hamilton County Schools, through its superintendent, misrepresented information, policies, and procedures. It names Hamilton County's District Attorney Neal Pinkston and accuses him of seeking nothing but publicity in the case. The suit also demands money for the wives of the 3 former employees. Flores calls this a personal injury case and says that approach is common. He uses a car wreck as an example.
It may even put more of a burden on one or the other spouses that has to take care of the other injured spouse. So it's not unheard of. It's a novel approach in this case.
And all 3 men are asking for more than $2 million apiece for damages, $100 grand for their wives, and all court costs. They have 21 days to respond to the lawsuit. Live in the studio, Cameron Taylor, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Cameron, thank you. Coming up next on Eyewitness News at 6, Hamilton County Commissioners approved the budget for 2018.
And while it may not be as much as the school board had hoped for, the new superintendent appointee says he can work with it.
You have those 2 things converging at the same time. You've got an opportunity for great success, and so my work will be about capitalizing on that.
Dr. Brian Johnson shares his vision for the future next.
showers are already starting to spread into some of our southern counties, and they're going to be moving to the north across the whole area gradually overnight, and then through tomorrow. I've got all the details on my 7-day forecast.
Well, it's been less than a week since the Hamilton County School Board selected its next superintendent, Dr. Brian Johnson of Clarksville, Tennessee, and he made a surprise public appearance here in Chattanooga this morning.
Our Tim Pham talked to Dr. Johnson about what's next in his move to Chattanooga.
The school board's pick for superintendent, Dr. Brian Johnson, made a surprise appearance as county commissioners voted on a budget that impacts the school district he will soon lead. Sitting in the front row, the man chosen to fill Hamilton County Schools' top leader. Dr. Johnson joined a packed house as county commissioners approved the 2018 budget.
Being here today was simply about hearing, where the funding body is, having a chance to put some names with some faces, and then really get ready to get after the work.
The school system received an additional $8 million of the $24 million it had requested. Schools now account for $425 million of the county's $691 million budget. It's a chunk of money Dr. Johnson believes he can work with.
When you have those two things converging at the same time, you've got an opportunity for great success. And so my work will be about capitalizing on that.
During this visit, Dr. Johnson plans to meet with the school district's instructional team and other staff members in the central office. Dr. Johnson wouldn't say if he's meeting with the current interim superintendent, Dr. Kurt Kelly, but he did say that they spoke over the phone but haven't met in person.
The way in which you implement change is the less pitfalls you step into, the more effectively and the more efficiently you can implement change. And so I want to really work to ascertain what those pitfalls might be so that we can improve student achievement.
He isn't sure what the first few months will look like for him in the new role, but he does plan to meet with as many people as possible to understand the landscape and challenges the district faces.
Our focus has to be to develop a plan to address those things and find out what's really working and how we can do more of it really quickly.
The search for Dr. Johnson took about 15 months and cost the school board about $60,000. Dr. Johnson tells me he still has duties to wrap up in his current job and hopes to finalize details in his contract with Hamilton County soon. Reporting in the studio, Tim Pham, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
And Dr. Johnson comes from the Clarksville-Montgomery County school system where he has spent the past decade. After his contract is finalized, he will work with a transition team and the school board to map out his move to Chattanooga. Coming up next, a shooting that happened on Neal Street last week left a man in critical condition.
We know that several people were outside and out in the community and they saw something that day.
And they're hoping that if you're watching tonight, you'll talk about whatever you saw that day. Learn how you can earn up to $1,000 in connection to this week's Crime Stoppers.
A shooting from last week has left a man in critical condition nearly 7 days later and a gunman on the loose.
In Crime Stoppers, police are asking for information that can help get the shooter behind bars. Here's Greg Glover.
Some things in this case just don't fit the normal pattern. It was just after noon on a weekday and in the middle of a neighborhood, too. It's obvious the bad guy in this case doesn't care who lives nor dies. Help police lock him up before you become an unintended victim of his next crime. And get yourself paid in the progress.
We're still investigating to find out exactly what happened, but we believe that the victim was the intended target.
40-year-old Shalone Wingate was that target. Chattanooga Police Sergeant Victor Miller explains he was shot at midday last Thursday.
It was 12:30 in the afternoon. The 100 block of Neal Street is a residential area. There's not a lot of through traffic. It is a dead-end area, so you have to know exactly where you're going.
Wingate remains in critical condition. Officers responded quickly, but the shooter apparently ran and was able to elude them, U.S. Marshals, and canines.
He continued down O'Neal Street for about a block, and then he cut off to the side. At that point, we lose track of where he's at.
Sergeant Miller says investigators have been able to collect some suspect information, but they need more.
We know that several people were outside and out in the community, and they saw something that day. We have got some information from some community members and people that witnessed it, some people that were close and some people that were far away, so we greatly appreciate that information.
With Crime Stoppers, you'll remain completely anonymous and you'll be eligible for up to $1,000 reward cash. Any bit of information, no matter how small it may appear, might just be what's needed to find that gunman and to get him off the street before he claims another victim.
What we're hoping for is that someone did see something and that they know who the suspect is. It could be that they saw it or that the suspect told them what happened. We know a lot of the times that criminals will talk about the crimes that they commit, so we're hoping that that's happened in this case and the person will come forward and call Crime Stoppers.
Your honest payday could be a simple phone call away. 698-3333 is the number. If you get voicemail, leave a way for Sergeant Miller to get back with you. He may have some questions, but he'll never ask your name or who you are. David, Lori.
Thank you, Greg. Now it's time to check in with Chief Meteorologist Paul Barris.
He's keeping an eye on the rain. It's coming.
That's right. You can see the clouds behind me on our Holiday Inn downtown camp. Looking off to the north, that's where we had a lot of sunshine today too, off to the north, but that's pretty much heading out of here. Now we're looking at the radar here. There are a few showers mainly out into the Blue Ridge Mountains and also spreading through Chattooga County. It's pretty light stuff right now, and it's going to be light rain for tonight as it spreads to the north. The heaviest rains just north of Birmingham to just about Atlanta, on your Montgomery, down along the Gulf Coast. You see this big swirl, this big arc of moisture here. That's little Cindy is moving off towards the north. Not a powerful storm. Winds are pretty strong, and some of these thunderstorms have gusts to 60 miles an hour or so, so there's a chance there could be some damage right along the Panhandle, not too far from Mobile Bay. There's severe thunderstorm warnings now, and severe thunderstorm watch out into the Great Plains too. So currently 82 in the city, 82 in Cleveland, Dayton and Athens, 82 in Altamont, with 79 in Dalton, 75 Blue Ridge, 77 near Murphy. Winds out of the south at 8. Our high today was 84, 69 the overnight low, so the forecast worked out very well, thank you. And then we had a little bit of rain south of the city, 82 here at Tryon, but 2/10 in Lafayette. Then we had 1/10 of an inch in Calhoun, Chatsworth, Ford Mountain, 8/10 on Blue Ridge, 4/10 Ellijay. Further off to the north in the metro area, temperatures in the low 80s, some mid 80s to upper 80s up near Saudi Daisy, 88, but Cleveland 85, 87 East Ridge, 78 Lookout Mountain. And then we had about 84 in Dayton and Pikeville with 85 in Dunlap and Etowah. Also up into 10 Mile, 2/10 of an inch of rain at Turtletown. Murphy had about 1/10 of an inch of rain. Latest Vipercast showing that moisture flying in from the Gulf Coast. And there's really nothing to stop it. The center of the storm, Cindy, is going to stay out over right along the border of Texas, Louisiana, head off towards the north, and then change into a depression. That means it's weakening. But it's a lot of moisture with it. It's still pulling up moisture from the Gulf Coast. And then this little wave is going to form, so Cindy's going to bring the moisture, the cold front's going to bring the squeezing, and the showers and thunderstorms will develop right into Friday night. But Saturday morning looks like most of it's out of here by afternoon, and then the rain pushes off to the east. Sunday looks like a pretty good day, and it's going to be quite pleasant for the middle or the beginning of summer. Now, Vipercast is painting about 3 to 4 inches of rain, maybe up to 5. I think that's a little too much. I'm not going to say that much, maybe 1 to 3, with 3 north of the city at the best bet. 71 tonight. Clouds thicken up and showers develop, but they'll be light. Tomorrow, some more showers. Slight chance for a thunderstorm and southeasterly wind. 73 tomorrow night with showers and storms likely. And then coming up on the weekend, we're looking at 85 on Saturday. And on Sunday, it looks like it's going to be a pleasant day with some a very, very nice day. And for the rest of the week, coming up on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, things are looking very, very good. So it looks like excellent weather developing across the Tennessee Valley. But again, Saturday morning, some showers. Sunday, it looks like it will be out of here. So get ready for that.
So if you're going to get outside a little bit later Saturday.
I think Saturday afternoon and evening should be pretty nice.
And by the way, at the Chattanooga Market this Sunday, heads up, ice cream social.
Ooh, sounds good.
Yeah, so the weather will be nice for that.
Yeah, it should be good.
And we'll be back. Paul Shaheen has sports for you next.
There was little doubt before Freddie Freeman hit the DL. He was All-Star game bound as a starting first baseman. When he returns to the Atlanta roster, which could be next week, he might be playing third base for the first time since high school. And get this, it was Freeman's idea, all to accommodate the recently acquired red-hot Matt Adams.
Did you have a couple of glasses of wine in you when you made this decision?
No, you know, obviously it's been a few years since I've played third base, but I said I'm completely on board with it. I want to do it. We got to keep Matt's bat in the lineup, and I'll do anything to win.
Freddie is ahead of schedule in terms of his return. Reports say he might be able to join the team on their next road trip in San Diego. That's in 6 days. The Braves host the Giants tonight at home at 7:35. Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin, your classic example of vinegar and baking soda. Harmless when apart, science class volcano when combined. We saw that play out several times since 2014, and thanks to a new book, we're learning more about one of their more popular eruptions. Think back last September, during and then after the Western Kentucky game.
Well, he's mad at Coach Kiffin because they had a fumble, and that's definitely, he doesn't like that play call selection.
It looked like there were some arguments between yourself and Lane on the sidelines. Or at least
there's no arguments. Okay. Those are called chewings. I mean,
I know you remember that one. Now to the backstory. Nick's old buddy and former co-worker, Phil Savage, wrote a book about Nick Saban. It comes out in late August, but AL.com has an advance copy. It says Saban went off on Kiffin that day because after the fumble, Kiffin said over the headset, quote, "Dumb players make dumb plays." It goes on to say that Saban quickly replied, "Dumb coaches call dumb plays." And then the yelling ensued. All region, all state, all UTC. Dalton senior offensive lineman Dylan Cole committed to the Mocs yesterday. Cole says it was a no-brainer as a North Georgia native.
It was pretty exciting because, it's pretty much the hometown team for, where I live. So, Chattanooga talking to you, it's just like, you never really thought it was going to happen growing up, but, it did. So it was great.
Cole has 1 year remaining with the Catamounts, but he says that he has the commitment. Now that he has the commitment off his chest, he's looking forward to his senior season and focusing on making it back to the postseason with the Cats. The NHL expansion draft is tonight, meaning the newest and 31st team, Las Vegas, will release its first roster tonight. Expected to be on that Las Vegas roster is Nashville forward James "The Real Deal" Neal. Each of the 30 other NHL teams released a list of protected and unprotected players. Now, Las Vegas had its pick of the unprotected players. The official NHL draft starts tomorrow. The Predators have the 30th pick.
I was doing some lip reading during that Coach Saban thing there.
Don't repeat it.
What he said was, Coach Kiffin, with all due respect, I would have picked another play. I think that's exactly what he said.
So how much rain are we going to get?
We're going to see 1 to 3 inches of rain now before this whole thing's done with, but it's not all coming tonight. For your evening out, we just got some clouds that are going to be rolling in, and temperatures will be dropping from the 80s down into the 70s.
Well, that's it for Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 6. NBC News is next.
Good night.